Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to do more of a sort of fun, lighthearted video. In the last couple of videos, we've talked trash about the SEALs and Gen Z and some foreign military units. But what you guys might not know about the culture in Special Forces is that we relentlessly make fun of each other. We constantly are talking shit about each other. Okay, so those of you think that we, don't have a sense of humor, then you should be in a Special Forces team room. Okay, it gets pretty wild, right? So what we're going to do today is talk about sort of the stereotypes of each Special Forces group for the type of guy that's in that group, and then also what that group is sort of known for. Okay, sort of the humorous sides of things. Sort of stereotypes aren't always true, but they kind of come from somewhere, right? So let's jump right into it, right? Okay, so we'll start out, we'll just go in order of number, which my group is first up in First Special Forces group. Okay, so first group, sayings like first in Asia. First group operates, for those of you who don't know how the groups work, each group sort of operates in a certain region of the world, okay? Aside from the Middle East where the war is, right? But so first group is primarily operating in Asian countries, okay? So what's first group known for? And we'll say this in a sense of like what the other groups would say each group's known for, right? So there is the Ladyboy group, right? So we spend a lot of time in Thailand and the Philippines and Vietnam where the Ladyboy culture is a thing, okay? There's plenty of stories going around of guys, being interested in that type of thing, if that's your stuff, okay? Whether that's true or not, who knows? But that's sort of the running joke, okay? And if the term Ladyboy offends you, well, just so you know, culturally in Thailand and Philippines, that's what they refer to themselves. So just don't be a whiny bitch and shut the fuck up, okay? Now, first group also is sort of known as the vacation group, right? That's what all the other groups would say. We don't actually work for a living. All we do is jettison around, the beaches in Asian countries and Japan and, Bali and all these awesome places where we can go dive in the waters of Okinawa and things like that. Which is pretty much true, right? When we go and do our J-sets, right? When you're going to Thailand or Bali or the Philippines, and a lot of these places are really vacation-esque type places, okay? It is what it is. Sorry, I didn't pick my group. That's the way it goes. That I ended up in a group that's actually fun to be in, okay? And first group is kind of known for that, right? Sort of the lighthearted fun group. Also, first group is sort of known as, you don't really see a whole lot of first group instructors at SWIC because we have a forward station base in Okinawa, and you can do what I did, which is when your SWIC time comes up, you volunteer and you go to Okinawa and you just stay on the team for your whole career. Okay, so that's sort of a rundown on first group with some stereotypes about the guys, and then also what we do. Right. So next, get into third group. Okay, third group's a pretty notorious group. From the funny side of things, right? We would call the third group the swinger group. Okay, so those anybody who knows like the ins and outs of Fayetteville, there's huge swinger clubs and shit like that, and it's kind of known that for whatever reason, the special operations community likes to, go find young soldiers to come back home with them, so that they're, them and their wives can do their swinger thing. Okay. How much truth there is of that, I don't know. It's kind of some weird stuff that goes on. But that's one of the sort of the funny sides of third group. Okay. Now, third group, it's hard to really talk trash about third group. They're also now sort of known as, the ultimate war hero group. Okay. They did a ton of the fighting over the last 20 years. That's the reality of it. I've got a lot of respect for every guy in third group, as much as I'd like to make fun of them. They don't really get a bad rap for much, okay, other than having to live in Fayetteville, which is, sucks. But they do have to, they don't get to go to as many fun places, right? Because they primarily are working in Africa and the Middle East. But those guys have a ton of combat time. So typically, by the time I had one combat rotation done in first group, my buddies I graduated with had 2 to 3. Okay, so that's sort of the trade-off there is maybe we go to the vacation islands. Those guys fought a lot more of the war. Okay, is what it is. So not a whole lot negative to say about third group. To all my third group buddies out there. There you go. All right, fifth group. This is going to be the opposite of that. Now, not necessarily the opposite of that in the warfighting sector, but of what you could say about fifth group. So fifth group, it's called the Fifth Army. It's called the Fifth Army because it is essentially sort of feels like being in the big army. Okay, it's like kind of from what guys reputationally say about being in fifth group is it's the most strict, the least laid back of all the groups, right? It's the I hate my life group. Okay. You're when you go on your J sets, right? Like we go to Thailand and Philippines and these places. These guys are going to Yemen and Syria and some places that are really Turkey and all these places you really, it's kind of just like going to another combat deployment without the combat. Fifth group, sort of they obviously have the notoriety of 585 and triple nickel and being the first ones in Afghanistan, and it's true, right? Fifth group's pretty awesome legacy with that going back all the way to Vietnam, right? Very storied group, but everybody you talk to absolutely hates their life, completely burned out, way too much combat time, and they do nothing but shitty J sets, right? So you want to get all the craziest warfighting and hate your life, or be in a different group, right? So let's move on to seventh group, okay? The other party group next to first group, right? Seventh group is known as I have a second family in Colombia that my current family in Florida doesn't know about group, okay? So fortunately, that's something that happens more than it should. As these guys deploy to Colombia and Brazil and all these places and, make some whoopsies because of, the culture and how the women look, right? So, they're also sort of known as the potentially muling drugs for the cartel group. Unfortunately, there's been more than one guy caught doing things like that over the years. But, seventh group also gets to go to really awesome places, much like first group, and they live on the beach in Destin, Florida, right? Which I've been to, is a really fun place to live, right? So sort of a party group in a way, and most guys are very happy that are in seventh group, right? Conversely, sort of opposite to being in fifth group. Obviously, like first group, much less combat time, although we did all get it in Afghanistan as sort of a rotationally cyclical in and out. All right, which brings us to the last group, and we're not going to get into the National Guard groups. I don't know, but enough about them, right? But last group is 10th Special Forces Group. Okay, so 10th group is in Colorado. 10th group, kind of, what are the guys known for? Okay, 10th group is sort of known as the Mormon group. For whatever reason, there's a ton of Mormons in Special Forces, and the majority of them go to 10th group. Okay, it's also sort of known as the hippie group. Living in Colorado and that type of stuff. And they're like first group in that they have a forward station battalion in Germany. So those guys as well will oftentimes, you won't see very many of them as instructors at SWIC because guys will again forward deploy and live over there. So they also are known for having really cool J sets and really cool partners to work with, right? Because their focus is in Europe, okay? So they're working with, the Norwegians and the Ukrainians and the Germans, right? A lot of first world nation armies and a lot of cool places that those guys get to work and visit and live and do stuff like that, right? So, but again, much like first and seventh group, not as much combat time as third and fifth. Okay, so that's sort of the generalities of it, right? So if you were in 1st, 7th, or 10th, kind of the vacation groups, right, where guys are pretty happy, it's good places to live while you're in garrison, and then also really cool places to deploy. And then 3rd and 5th group, both kind of, and some guys maybe like living in Fayetteville. I'm not a fan personally, but kind of the shitty places to live, the shitty places to work, but a lot of combat time for those guys, which, that's what a lot of us are looking for. So, if you guys have any other stereotypes that you've heard about the groups of the time, throw them in the comment section. Like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell. We're almost at 20,000 subscribers. The channel's only been up like 8 months, so it's pretty wild. We're thinking about doing something cool or special, like a live feed, once we hit that. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. A little bit more comedic, a little bit more fun, and I'll see you in the next one.